today's organizations face many challenges and risks. Some of them are age-old, like users and their passwords and self-management and self-help. Some of those just don't change, it seems. And some of them are much more disrupting than that. The biggest trends out there that most organizations have to deal with are things like the cloud. There's the notion of mobility, which includes both the adoption of social networks and SaaS on the one hand and devices on the other, the whole BYOD thing. And then, of course, there's the dark side. Just a year ago, 32% of cyber incidents online were as a result of stolen passwords. That's basic blocking and tackling that most companies still have to wrestle with and find ways to deal with. So cloud, mobility, and frankly, the dark side. It's getting bigger and more organized. Those are the challenges. It's probably arguable, in fact, that anything in security is interesting if it's empowered and if it's intelligence-driven. And I'd say the corollary or the flip side to that is that if it doesn't have some kind of big data analysis, some kind of pattern recognition, or some kind of intelligence-driven component, it's doomed to be both uninteresting and a commodity long-term. So risk-based authentication is looking at the entire envelope around a transaction. It's saying, what is the transactional context? What patterns can I glean from that? And what context can I bring in from outside to make a more informed risk-based decision around who to trust and how and when to do so? RSA's risk-based authentication technology transforms the way we think about authentication. The traditional model is, do I trust you? Yes, no. Do you have your token? Can you pass some challenge? Now we want to say, well, if the bad guys adapt and change their behavior, we want to be able to understand much more granularly how much do I trust you and under what circumstances. So let's look at all contexts. Let's look at where you're coming from, how you're connecting, what's normal, what's not normal, and let's learn how that shifts over time, as well as how the bad guys' behavior shift over time. So the new Authentication Manager 8 has this notion of being risk-based built into how it does authentication. And based on how much we trust you, we can ask for more authentication or less, making it more usable and more affordable. RSA is leading the authentication market, protecting over 350 million identities in use cases from consumer banking all the way to the very highest intellectual property controls and, frankly, national secrets in almost every country around the world. We're looking to change authentication by applying intelligence-driven controls and really making these things risk-based. Authentication Manager 8 is an example of the traditional world of things like tokens and strong authentication, the two-factor authentication, coming together with the next generation of big data-driven, intelligence-driven, risk-based authentication.